What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're talking about something that I've had so many questions about, and that is, does real boxing knowledge help with Esports Boxing Club? Now, of course, I played 9-10 hours a day, so let's just say 20 hours over the 2 days that I played. Started from literally never touching it to feeling pretty good come the end of the second day. So I thought for this video I'd cover all bases, because these are the questions that I get. Does playing UFC help? Does playing Fight Night help? Does fighting in real life help? Does studying the sport help? And I thought, you know what, I will just cover those bases quickly in this video and talk to you guys from my experiences on does real boxing knowledge help, because this is something that people seem to be really interested in. For me, I thought it was cool, and I was like, oh, you know, it's decent. But this is something that people are really interested in. So I thought, you know what, let's make a video, and yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with gaming experience. Does gaming experience help? Of course it does. It helps in general. Gaming experience will help as a whole, you know, because you won't have to, let's say we've got a controller, you guys, I'm sure you guys have all seen this, where you'll say to someone, press square, and they have to go like that. Of course, gaming experience will help with Esports Boxing Club, because you'll be able to see the controls on screen and go, okay, square, triangle, circle, X, R1, R2, and you'll instantly know how those buttons flow together, and you'll pick it up quickly. So, of course, gaming experience as a whole helps at the start. But that's just from a gaming point of view. You know, that helps with picking up every game. You might not be the best, but at least you'll pick it up quickly. Now we go on to, does Fight Night Champion, does UFC 4 make you better, make you good, help with playing Esports Boxing Club? Now, of course, I'm not the top level of UFC 4, and I'm not the top level of Fight Night Champion, but I play a good amount of both of those games. And the one thing that I'll say, you know what, will help from either of those games, and it's not so much the game, it's more just the sport being a game, and that is the punches, that is the combinations, because you will have played UFC 4, you will have played Fight Night round 3, 4, whatever, and you will know what a jab is, what a straight is, what a right hook, a left hook, uppercut. You'll know what a body shot is. You should know what a slip, a weave is, a back step, forward step, a pivot, a side step, things like that. You will know those things from Fight Night Champion, Fight Night whatever, UFC whatever. So that as a whole will be where those games help you. However, I still see people saying, you know, I'm a top player on this game and this game, so I'm definitely going to be good at it. Now, that's where I will draw the line. I will say, you know what, you'll have a good understanding, but there is no block breaking, there is no sidestep uppercut, there is no OP pullback straight, there is nothing like that. Everything that is overpowered in UFC 4 in terms of the striking is not in Esports Boxing Club. Everything that is overpowered or unfair in Fight Night Champion in terms of the striking is not in Esports Boxing Club. So these things like that, like the ability to spam hooks, spam shots, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, in UFC 4, you see people try to throw a 5 or 6 hook combination against a Martial Mind. He'll pick up on that, he'll pull back, come in, elbow, and, you know, he gets, you know, he knows how to counter that. Fight Night is the same. You get a lot of people that will just spam hooks and uppercuts. You spam like that in ESBC, you'll get put to sleep. You just will. Literally, it is millimeters in that game. That hook goes past you, bang, you catch them on their way. You will drop them, you will rock them, you will knock them out. So things like that is where I will draw the line at saying, just because you are good at Fight Night Champion, you are good at UFC 4, that will not immediately make you good at Esports Boxing Club. Now, that isn't saying that, you know, those games, for example, the top players on UFC 4, for example, Ed Parker, of course, Martial Mind Proxys, Zayaf, those guys I'm sure will, Romero, for example, will get into ESBC, and they will pick up relatively quickly, and they will grind and play a good amount, so they are relatively decent at the game off the bounce. They'll have competitive bouts, they'll have some wins, they'll have some losses, and that's the way it's going to shake out. Not saying that these games will make you worse. Of course, if you play a lot of Fight Night Champion, you'll have to get out of that mindset of say, entering and going, and even though you might be putting combo together, I'm not saying everyone spams, but even if you're used to Fight Night Champion, you say you want to do straight, you know, jab, straight, hook, straight, jab, jab, hook, you can smash that together in Fight Night Champion. You can't really do that in the ESBC. You'll just miss. You know, you're going to need to, halfway through that combo, the opponent will be well out of range, so you're going to need to block, stop that, and then pick your shots a little bit better. As a whole, in terms of the Fight Night UFC gaming experience will of course help. UFC 4 and Fight Night will give you that starting base for boxing, and in this game you will have to learn a whole new way of fighting. You just will. The amount of shots that miss in this game just from little motions is incredible. I mean, it's brilliantly realistic, and I love it. But that's one thing I think people are going to have to learn, that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go in and they're just going to be throwing these basic combinations, and so much is going to be missing. They're going to be getting countered, and it's about that next level of adjusting in a boxing sense, as opposed to this magnetic pull that Fight Night has, and these OP features that even like the best Fight Night players will say, you know, the sidestep uppercut is, I mean, I don't play it online, but even I know about the sidestep uppercut, even I know about the pullback straight, is things that are notoriously overpowered. Now let's get into the boxing experience side of things, where the real life boxing knowledge, experience, whatever, does that come into play with this game? And this is the one thing I will believe will help you the most, and that is knowledge of the sport. Now that could be training in boxing for 10 years, 1 month. That could be not training at all. That could be watching it. That could be studying the sport. That could just be enjoying the sport. This is not one of those things where I'm like, if you don't fight in the ring, you're a bitch and you're going to be bad at ESBC. That's not one of those things. I've seen a few people saying that, like, well, I train, so I'm going to be better. That's not the case at all. You could watch the sport, you could love the sport, you could study the sport, and you could be good because you what it is it's having that ability. For me, it helped fighting in real life to be decent at Esports Boxing Club off the bounce, because I was like envisaging myself. Whereas you get someone that's watched the sport for the last 5 or 6 years, is an avid gamer, and is like, okay, I'm Terence Crawford, I know how he fights, let's utilise his switch stance, let's utilise his speed and his jab. That's what it's all about. So while playing UFC and Fight Night, and, you know, being a general gamer will help you with the start of ESBC, studying the sport and knowing the fighters is what's going to take you to that next level. You're not just going to be able to jump in and be like, okay, this combination works with every single fighter, because not only is there a huge roster, there is so many unique styles, so many unique footwork patterns. Everything like that is what's going to be taken into consideration. You're going to need to go to that next level of knowledge of the sport. And I'm not just saying the sport of boxing, because you could be a huge MMA fan, but you might love fighters like Petr Yan, Max Holloway, who are notorious stand-up fighters, and you watch them adjust throughout the fight. Now, that may help you with ESBC, but one thing that I'm going to note is there is going to be a huge difference between playing as Fury and playing as Canelo, playing as Crawford, playing as Caleb Plant. You will not be able to utilize the same features you do with Fury as you could with Caleb Plant. You will fail with either of the fights. If you try to fight like Fury as Plant or like Plant as Fury, you will fail with either of those fighters. It's all about the knowledge of the sport and the knowledge of the fighters. And that's what I believe will take people to the next level. So as a whole, yes, I do believe that knowledge of boxing will help. That's not me saying you have to train, you have to have watched it for at least 10 years. None of that. You don't have to be a die-hard boxing fan, but I do believe that one thing that people will enjoy the most with this game is you may play as a fighter and be like, you for example, let's say you get someone that's been watching the sport for 3 years. They're in America, they know Crawford, they know them lot, they know, you know, AJ and Usyk, for example, they know Wilder. Let's say they get the game and they play as Conor Benn. They're like, this guy looks cool, tons of tattoos, that's going to happen. Ben's going to be popular because new players are going to go, he looks fucking sick. So let's say they play as Conor Benn. They're used to using, say, Crawford. They're used to using, say, Wilder. So they maybe try to do the big power punches with Conor. That's not really working. Then they try to go with this overtly speedy jab. That's not working. Then those players may be like, you know what? I like this fighter, but I can't quite figure out how to use him. So let me watch some fights on Conor Benn. Oh, okay, now let's utilise him cutting off the ring. Let's utilise his combinations. And that's where I think it will really mix it up, you know, especially with things like legends and prospects and current champions and former champions. That's where it's definitely going to help. So as a whole, I think the knowledge is important, but that's not me saying that if you're not a hardcore boxing fan, you're going to suck. That's not the case at all. You may watch it from time to time. You may watch MMA and have a good understanding of boxing fundamentals, and you will do well. But if you get someone that doesn't watch the sport of any caliber, boxing or MMA, and they jump straight in and they just go online and they do all this, it's going to be a short night. I would say a long night at the office. It won't be. It will be a short night at the office for them because they will get slept. So that's more my point, is going in blind and just spamming like fuck is going to get you nowhere in this. It does help to have that combat sports brain, and that's why I don't want to keep calling it the boxing. Combat sports are martial mind, to his own admittance, will only watch a fight if, say, Canelo's in it, but he'll watch all MMA events. He'll come into this game with a good understanding, because he has a good understanding of mixed martial arts, boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. So he'll definitely go in. He will have a good advantage over, say, a button bashing spammer, of course, because he's already got the understanding of a combat sports mentality of how to adjust, how to use different game plans. and that's where I believe that the knowledge will come in handy. But I just wanted to cover this because this was quite an interesting topic to talk about. It was tons of fun, and yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I know a lot of you will be happy to hear this, and this is something I will stand by. That adjustments, game plans, the knowledge of the art of combat sports and boxing will definitely help you as a player for sure. It's very exciting. Of course, when I got to play the game, I was expecting realism, but they've taken it up to a whole new level to what I expected. Genuinely amazed. I was expecting brilliance, but it was brilliant. So, but yeah, I just thought I'd make this video. I thought it'd be something that people would actually want to hear about and talk about. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.